Am I the jerk for the way I handled my dad? Hi everyone, this might be a bit lengthy, but I am currently living with my parents. Some time ago, my dad bought me my first car, but he frequently reminds me that it's technically his since it's still under his name. He often threatens to call the police and report it as stolen if I use it, even when I'm just going to work or out after asking my mom. I am reaching my limit. My dad and my mom have been together for a long time, and everything was okay until I turned 15. My dad struggles with anemia and alcoholism, which unfortunately affects his behavior, especially when he drinks. This has made our home environment very stressful. My little sister often comes to me in tears because she feels scared. For some background, both my mom and I work. My dad works as well. He earns the most but often asks for almost all of my mom's money. He seems very unhappy. Last night, he was intoxicated and caused some damage around the house, including breaking a TV in my door. He insisted on taking the car, even though he was clearly not in a condition to drive. I offered to drive him because I had to work, but he was adamant that it was his car and that he pays for the insurance. He tends to drive recklessly when he's late for work, which is very concerning. He's also said hurtful things to me, claiming I am worthless and won't achieve anything in life. Additionally, he seems to be experiencing some paranoia, often believing that people are around the house when they're not. He has installed Ring cameras and often invades our privacy, convinced that someone is there. He even wakes up in the middle of the night, recording and searching the house for intruders. I worry that he might have a mental health condition because he sometimes wakes up scared, believing someone is trying to take him. He occasionally sleeps with the light on. When we express our frustration or concern, he sometimes cries and claims he doesn't remember his actions, or tries to make us feel like we're the problem. I want to help him, but I am at a loss. I think he needs professional treatment, but I am not sure how to proceed. My mom and I are exhausted and scared, and we don't have enough resources to move out and start over. Is there any way to get him the help he needs without his consent? Anything would be greatly appreciated. It sounds like the situation at home is incredibly stressful, especially with your dad's behavior and the constant threats about the car. The reckless driving and paranoia are really concerning, and it's clear that his issues with alcoholism and potential mental health problems are impacting everyone. It might be worth looking into professional help for him, although that can be really difficult without his consent. Hang in there and try to find support for yourself and your family in any way possible. Am I the jerk for ignoring my parents' request for money to buy their stepkids birthday gifts? I am a 21-year-old male estranged from my father. The relationship is complicated. Our estrangement started to build when I was 13 years old and became official when I turned 15 years old. In court, I was given the choice not to go to his house anymore. He burdened me with things he was keeping from my mother, with bad choices he made, and with a secret that was always going to cause a lot of trouble. He put the weight of our family's happiness on my shoulders until I broke. My mother's anger was more because of what he did to me than the things he did to her. Not long after I stopped going to see my father, he got married and became a stepfather to 3 children. They are twin girls and a boy. My younger siblings, a 16-year-old female and a 14-year-old male, still go to my father's house. Their relationship with him is still okay. It is not as bad as ours is, but it is not good by any means. However, he did not mess them up like he did me either. A few months ago, my mother fell on some hard times. My siblings' birthdays are 4 weeks apart, so I gave her some money for gifts for them. I wanted to help her out, especially when losing her job out of nowhere came at one of the worst times for her. She was dealing with a flare-up of a medical condition. One of my siblings mentioned it to our father, and when he and his wife ended up short to get the twins the gifts they wanted for their birthday coming up, he reached out to me on social media because I have him blocked on my phone. I ignored him. He asked again. I ignored him again. I ended up blocking him when he tried again. He caught me going to my mother's house after work the other day and asked me why I was so unwilling to help my other siblings when I helped my mother with my actual siblings' birthday gifts. I ignored him and went inside, but he waited until I was leaving to go home and followed me. He asked again, and I told him because I do not care about his wife's children. They are nothing to me, and I do not feel any urge to help him make their birthdays special. I then told him to leave me alone. He yelled after me that I did not need to take my hatred of him out on innocent kids, and that he knew I could afford to, and would have paid me back, unlike my mother. I yelled back that my mother did pay me back. I just had not expected or wanted her to. He ended up stealing my brother's phone the next time they were at his house and sent me a bunch of texts about my selfishness and coldness. Am I the asshole? I think you are not in the wrong here. Your dad really messed up your relationship, and it's not your responsibility to support his new family. It's completely reasonable to prioritize your actual siblings and your mom, who have been there for you. Your dad asking for money and then guilt-tripping you when you don't comply is manipulative. Stay strong and don't let him guilt you into feeling bad for looking out for yourself and your real family. Am I the jerk for making my partner give our child the money gifted to us for their future? My husband and I had a baby in July of 2023. We had announced a little before Christmas of 2022 that we were expecting, and our families were ecstatic at the news. I have always wanted to be a mother since I was a small child. My father-in-law was so ecstatic at the news that he gifted us $4,000 for Christmas to help with medical bills and for the baby. My father-in-law is a half-owner of a multi-state, multi-million-dollar business, of which my husband is slated to take over with his sister sometime next year. In our state, it is a requirement to have a social security number prior to opening a bank account, which my daughter in utero did not have. Therefore, it was agreed to enter the money in our joint account until after our daughter was born. I do not monitor this joint account because it is at my husband's bank, not mine. To pay for medical costs associated with her birth, I had used my health savings account, covering the full amount by myself. I also created her a bank account through my bank, which my husband was supposed to be a trustee on, but he failed to sign the paperwork in time, so my father was designated instead. Today, while driving home from an event, I asked about the $4,000, considering our daughter is a year old, and asked for permission to withdraw the funds and enter them into our daughter's legitimate account. My husband started claiming that I already used the money for medical bills and that I cashed it into my personal account. I told him that I did not do that and showed him my account from that time period. He said that if it was in the joint account, it is gone, and that he used it towards hunting land, which I did not give the okay to drop that money towards. He then called me ridiculous for even bringing it up and said that our baby is not entitled to that money as it was for medical expenses and care of her, which he barely pays anything towards. I pay 75% of daycare costs and all of the grocery bills, including formula and milk, and the baby is covered under my healthcare plan as his health plan is awful from his family's business. We split our mortgage 50-50, but I was the one who paid for the entire down payment. The whole situation was brought up when it did, as I am beginning to struggle to make ends meet and have been unable to transfer money every paycheck to our daughter's account. I have been putting $150 away each paycheck as I want to be able to help her get a car or go to college if she so chooses. I explained this, and my husband accused me of blowing through the money again and refuses to check. I told him that I was not asking. I was telling him that he needs to check and that he needed to figure out where the money went. Am I the asshole? Your husband sounds like he's taking advantage of you very badly. Why is he, the heir to a multi-million-dollar business, contributing so little to the household and to his daughter? It doesn't make sense that your money is so separated in the first place. He doesn't pull his weight financially or physically, and it might be better to be a single divorced parent and get child support. Am I the jerk for yelling at my dad after a tubing accident? So, my extended family and I are at a lake house for my mother's 50th birthday. We brought our boat and tube to have fun on the water. I was watching the kids get tossed around and also getting tossed around myself. My father is really crazy when it comes to tubing. He'll deliberately turn the boat around and speed off to give us whiplash or flip one or all of us off. One of my nieces already got off, so it was just me in the middle and my nephew on the side. At that point, we were getting kind of tired of holding on for our lives and kept gesturing for him to slow down. We directly told him multiple times to cool it and take it slow. However, he did not do that. On a particular wave, the raft got tipped back and I came off the back, but I was still holding on. I seriously could not tell which way was up, it happened so fast. Another wave finally got me off. I hit the water back first, hard. We had to have been going 40-ish miles per hour, and I practically slammed against the water like it was concrete. When I resurfaced, I couldn't breathe. That was the first time I've seriously had the wind knocked out of me. It felt like I was sucking on a rock. In that very moment, I thought I was going to die. When they got the boat back to me and I could breathe again, I was yelling at my dad. I don't ever swear at my parents, but I did yell, "What the fuck is your problem, you fucking idiot?" and other similar things at him. His first response was to watch my mouth, not an "are you okay" or anything like that. Admittedly, there were children on the boat, but that was the least of my worries. He got the ladder down and I climbed on, though I struggled with the immense pain I was in. I had to stop for a minute just to catch my breath before I even attempted to climb. I just had to sit there on the boat catching my breath. It was quiet and the kids were staring at me. They definitely cared more than Dad though. My other niece was offering her seat to me. My brother and his kid got on the raft next while I was just moaning and groaning in pain. Shockingly, my dad also got my brother and his 3-year-old knocked off, though not intentionally. It was some big wave that got them off, but still, a 3-year-old got knocked off the tube. They got back on, and we kept going. The moment we got back to the dock, I was the first to get off, and I struggled up the unnecessarily long stairs back to the house. Still in my somewhat dried swimming trunks, I sat down on the couch, trying to relax any of that pain. My niece went up to get my mother, and she later came down with some rub for my back. We conversed for a bit, and of course, she took my dad's side. She said stuff like he probably didn't mean to, blah blah. Even if he didn't, he hurt me. I'm still hurting and it happened an hour ago. After my mother left to go to the store, she messaged me, "Okay buddy, Dad just told me the things you said to him. I know you were hurt and upset, but that disrespect is not okay. I need you to apologize as soon as we get back and not let this hang over the day, bringing a damper on everything." I replied bluntly, "He got me hurt. I'm still hurting. I'm not apologizing." She replied, "He did absolutely nothing to intentionally hurt you, and you should know that. You calling him a fucking idiot is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. So you can either figure out the right thing to do, or I will figure out your consequence. I'm sorry you are hurting, but blaming dad is not the answer. I just don't know how to feel. This always happens. I get hurt, emotionally or this time physically, and the blame always gets put back onto me. I felt, and still feel, like my response was pretty justified considering how much pain I was in and how we kept telling him to slow down. So, am I the asshole? Your post was removed because it exceeds the 3,000 character limit. Please consider resubmitting a briefer post, as you are not allowed to continue your post in the comments or another thread. You will need to post it again because we cannot approve the removed post if you edit it. Read our rules in full before attempting to repost to avoid having it removed again. Am I the jerk for corresponding with and accepting money from my abusive ex's mom? Trigger warning. Abusive, a 35-year-old female, dated a guy, a 35-year-old male, let's call him John, for a few years. He was amazing in the beginning. He made me feel loved and cherished. He proposed about a month into the relationship. Now, I see it was complete love bombing and manipulation. John said he had noticed me for years and had been waiting for his chance. John started off with emotional abuse, then it escalated to physical abuse. I never saw it coming because he is close with his exes. I got to know him through them and they all sang his praises. So I thought maybe I brought it out of him and blamed myself. He would abuse me, then feel remorse and shower me with love and gifts. Things would be okay, then he would do it all over again. Eventually, I caught him cheating. I began planning my escape. I moved and did not tell him where I moved to. I stopped sharing my location with him. It drove him crazy. I began communicating less, pulling away slowly until I finally escaped. By then, he had already found someone new he was seeing behind my back, so he did not freak out like he did every other time I tried to get away. Initially, John disappeared. Then he came back wanting to be friends. I missed the person he once was, so I gave in. When he lied to me about having a girlfriend and tried to rekindle our relationship, I went no contact. 6 months before we split, I met his mom, and we hit it off. I will call her Betty. I have a very awful relationship with my mom because she is very emotionally abusive. Betty is everything my mom is not. She is kind and caring and treats me like the daughter she never had. So, I kept in contact with her after she continued reaching out and apologized for her son's behavior. Fast forward a couple of years. I am with a wonderful man, a 35-year-old male. Let's call him Chris. Chris and I are expecting our first child. Meanwhile, I still keep in regular contact with Betty. Betty sends me good morning messages. She always asks how I am. She tells me she loves and misses me. She occasionally sends me money. She says it is because I footed the bill for her son for so long and because of how he treated me. My friends are about evenly split on this. Half think it is sweet and that I basically have a mom in my life and she has a daughter since her and her son do not have the best relationship. The other half think it is weird. My partner and I have agreed that I will not give her personal information, like where we live. She has asked for my address before, or specifically where I work. I have not told her I am pregnant either. Today she sent me money after her normal good morning messages. It has been about a month since I heard from her. I told my partner, and he got kind of put off by it for the first time. He said he felt it was weird and honestly thought the correspondence would fizzle out. He asked that I not disclose that I am pregnant for safety reasons. I asked another friend, who knew my ex and was previously supportive of my friendship with his mom, and she told me she now thinks it is weird. On one hand, I feel like I have the kind of relationship with Betty that I always wanted with my own mom. Loving and supportive, and do not want to hurt her by cutting it off. The money she has sent me has been so helpful because her son destroyed my car and many other things, so I am recouping those losses. On the other hand, I feel like I need to respect my partner's feelings on it. There is still that real fear from PTSD that her son will find out or find me through her. This post has been removed because it violates Rule 5, no violence. Any mention of violence in any context is not allowed. Before attempting to resubmit your story, please review our rules and message the mods for approval. Resubmitting without approval will lead to a ban, with no exceptions. Am I the jerk for using my phone in class? I have this teacher for my senior year of high school, and there's a no phone rule. Even though it wasn't explicitly stated in her class, I decided to check my phone because it was vibrating like crazy. I didn't want it to disrupt the class in case of a phone call. You could say that I was going to put it on silent and check for any emergencies because this didn't happen often. The class wasn't even halfway through the period, and we were doing group presentations. It was a listen if you want it type of class. As I was taking out my phone, I really tried to hide it. I wasn't waving it around, just keeping it on my lap. Due to hearing disabilities, I was wearing discreet noise-canceling earbuds that doubled as headphones. I was listening to music, but could still hear and understand what everyone was saying. After surrendering my phone, the professor decided to watch me from behind for the entire lesson. I didn't notice my professor approaching from behind, so she saw my phone with the messaging app open. She asked for my phone and I gave it to her without hesitation. The only reason I noticed my teacher was when my music suddenly stopped mid-song. I turned around and saw her actively trying to unlock my phone, password guessing, and even trying to reset it. I felt so uncomfortable and weirded out for the rest of the period. I was thankful I had a password. Is it not illegal for a teacher to go through a student's phone without a warrant or valid reasons like harm against oneself or others? I couldn't be let off without punishment, but it was less than a week into school. I already got into the faculty rumors and received an offense on my record. I was told to clean our room and take a walk of shame to ask for my phone at the faculty 2 floors up. When I got there and told her I cleaned up like she asked, she dismissed me and said she didn't believe me. I had to go back down and convince one of the people I cleaned with to go back with me to the faculty to talk to that teacher. With no choice and constantly making snarly, degrading remarks, she finally handed over my phone. As I was walking away, I heard her laughing sarcastically, which pissed me off even more. Wanting to confront her wasn't the best option, so I continued on. Am I the asshole? I had this teacher 2 years back, and she absolutely despised me. Being the obviously foreign kid with broken dialogue didn't help my case, and she often made it clear she disliked me. You handled this poorly. There's no excuse to look at your phone during class. If there's an actual emergency, your family can call the school. Next time, put your phone on silent. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.